Welcome to the Classic Soap Operas podcast.
That is certainly a choice for an opening line. I'm guessing you're leading us somewhere specific with that.
I am. I know it sounds like we're about to break down, General Hospital or something, but hear me out. Today, we are talking about a show that, while it's technically a modern teen drama, arguably out-soaped all the soaps, we are diving into the absolute fever dream that was Riverdale.
You know, looking at the mountain of sources we have here, the production notes, critical reviews from Vulture and Rolling Stone, all the episode lists, you're actually spot on. This isn't just a show about high school.
Not at all.
It's really a case study in just bending a genre until it breaks. If you look at its whole trajectory, it's much closer to some kind of hallucinogenic soap opera than anything else.
Exactly. We're looking at the CW adaptation of the wholesome Archie comics that ran from 2017 to 2023. But I feel like calling it an adaptation is doing a lot of heavy lifting.
A very loose term in this context.
It's like saying Godzilla is an adaptation of a nature documentary about lizards.
Right. So our mission today is to explore how a show that was pitched as a sort of moody John Hughes movie, how did it morph into this surrealist noir with time travel and superpowers and cults and musical numbers?
We need to figure out how we got from point A to point Z without the audience getting complete whiplash. It's a wild ride.
It is.
Most of you probably know the basics. Archie, Betty, Veronica, love triangle. But I don't remember the comic issue where Archie fights a bear or Betty becomes an FBI agent at, age 20. So let's unpack this. Where did this chaotic energy even start?
Well, the origins are surprisingly grounded, at least at first. Warner Bros. Started developing an Archie feature film way back in 2013. And the original pitch from the showrunner, Roberto Aguirre-Sacasa, was strictly a teen comedy. Think The Breakfast Club meets the comics.
Which makes sense. That's the core DNA of Archie. It's wholesome Americana. You expect milkshakes, prom dates.
A little heartbreak, sure. But here's where the industry influence comes in. And this is a great little insight into how development hell works. A VP at Warner Bros. Recommended a more high-concept direction.
Oh, no.
They didn't want just high school. They wanted something bigger. They actually suggested a time travel or interdimensional portal concept.
Wait, really?
Yeah.
This was before the show even launched. They wanted time travel right out of the gate.
Yes, they wanted a blockbuster spectacle. And the casting suggestion that came with that pitch is even stranger. The note was to have Louis C.K. portray an older Archie Andrews.
You have to be joking.
I am looking at the development notes right now. A genuine suggestion from studio execs, Louis C.K. as a time-traveling Archie.
I can't even... That feels entirely disconnected from the brand. My brain is short-circuiting trying to picture that.
Yeah.
So, presumably, cooler heads prevailed.
Thankfully, yes. Priorities shifted, the project stalled, and it was reimagined as a TV series. It went to Fox first, didn't move forward, and then it finally landed at the CW in 2015.
And they decided to film in Vancouver, which is, standard operating procedure for almost all CW shows. The land of gray skies and forests.
It is, but the production design was top tier. They weren't just using generic sets. They built the Pop's chocolate shop set to be incredibly realistic.
Oh, is this the story about the truck driver?
Yes. There's a great anecdote in the production notes. The set was so convincing that a truck driver once parked his 18-wheeler there, walked in, and tried to order food.
That's amazing.
He thought it was a functioning roadside diner.
It really speaks to that retro timeless vibe they nailed.
Yeah.
It always felt like the present day with smartphones. But everyone drove vintage cars and dressed like it was the 1950s. It felt disorienting on purpose.
That dissonance was deliberate. It creates this dreamlike quality where you're never quite sure when you are. And speaking of deliberate choices, the film homages, the episode titles were often taken directly from older films.
Right, like the pilot is Chapter 1, The River's Edge.
And the Season 1 finale is Chapter 13, The Sweet Hereafter. They were signaling the tone from the jump. And if you look at the opening credits, critics immediately noted they mirror Twin Peaks.
A direct homage to David Lynch.
Exactly. The showrunner explicitly wanted that small town with dark secrets energy. He wanted Blue Velvet with high schoolers.
Okay, so we've established the vibe. Neon noir, Lynchian, retro modern. Now we need to look at the players. Because if you only watch Season 1, you have a drastically different view of these characters. Let's break down the core four.
Let's start with the redhead himself, Archie Andrews, played by KJ Apa.
Archie, the classic all-American boy. Starts as a football player who wants to play music. The jock with a sensitive soul.
Correct. But his trajectory is, well, chaotic is the only word. Over the series, he's not just a student. He becomes a vigilante, literally patrolling the streets with a baseball bat. the red circle.
Right.
Then he joins the army, becomes a sergeant. Then he comes back as a poetry-writing construction worker.
That feels like 3 different lifetimes packed into a few years.
It is. And if we jump ahead to season 6, the writers apparently decided vigilante wasn't enough. After a bomb explosion, Archie actually becomes invulnerable.
Invulnerable, you mean like plot armor?
No, I mean literal superpowers. Super strength, durability. They stopped pretending he was a normal kid at all.
Okay, we are definitely circling back to the superpowers. But let's look at Betty Cooper. Lily Reinhardt. She's the girl next door.
She starts that way, but the show leans heavily into this idea that wholesome is a facade. She has a dark side she calls Dark Betty. And by the time we get a few seasons in, she's literally an FBI agent operating out of Riverdale.
An FBI agent.
What?
While she's barely out of her teens.
Well, it involves a time jump, but yes, a very young federal agent hunting serial killers. And romantically, while she has the famous relationship with Jughead, later on, she and Archie finally get together. They get engaged in season 6.
Then we have Veronica Lodge, Camila Mendez, the it girl from Manhattan.
Here, her arc is pure soap opera. She's constantly battling her father, Hiram Lodge. After the time jump, we find out she was the she-wolf of Wall Street.
Of course she was. Why be a stockbroker when you could be a she-wolf?
Exactly. She marries a guy named Chad Gecko, a clear reference to Wall Street. He's abusive, she eventually kills him in self-defense, but then she actually orders a hit on her own father, Hiram.
She put a hit out on her dad. That is straight out of The Sopranos, not Archie comics.
It is. And just to match Archie, later she gains the power to generate poison. Her kiss becomes lethal.
I love how generating poison is just another character trait. And finally, the narrator, Jughead Jones, Cole Sprouse.
He's the social outcast, the writer. He frames the whole narrative like a noir detective, and he becomes the leader of the Southside Serpents gang.
Which is funny because Jughead in the comics is usually just eating burgers. Here he's leading a biker gang.
A biker gang with hearts of gold, mostly. But there's a significant point of controversy here we should address. In the comics, Jughead is canonically asexual.
Right. He's not interested in romance. That's his whole deal.
The show, however, made him heterosexual, pairing him with Betty to form Buckhead. Fans loved it, but advocacy groups pointed out it was a form of a speck erasure. It was a real friction point for purists.
That's a valid critique. And quickly, we can't forget Cheryl Blossom, Madeleine Petsch. She feels like she's in a different show sometimes.
Cheryl is the agent of chaos. Wealthy, traumatized, and eventually she discovers she is a witch. She gets pyrokinesis in season 6.
Fire powers, sure.
She basically becomes the supernatural anchor of the show.
Okay, so everyone becomes a superhero or a federal agent. But it didn't start that way, right? Season 1 was somewhat normal.
No, it didn't start this crazy. Season 1 was actually quite grounded. A tight 13-episode murder mystery about Jason Blossom's death.
And people really liked it, I remember.
They did. 88% on Rotten Tomatoes. Critics called it eerie, odd, and daring. It worked. It was Twin Peaks for teens.
So when did the wheels turn into square blocks and the cars start flying?
It was a gradual shift, but the writers just started moving away from coherent plotting toward camp. They stopped asking, does this make sense? And started asking, is this entertaining?
Give me the highlights, the can you believe this moments.
Okay, well, there was the Gargoyle King storyline, a Dungeons and Dragons style game called Griffins and Gargoyles that was somehow lethal.
A riff on the satanic panic of the 80s.
Exactly. Then there was The Farm, a cult run by Chad Michael Murray that was harvesting organs.
Of course.
And perhaps most famously, Archie fighting a bear.
Okay, pause. He fought a bear. Was this a dream sequence?
No. He was in the woods, he was attacked by a bear, and he fought it. He survived, but yeah, on paper, it was a teenager boxing a grizzly.
That is bold. And then they did a time jump, right?
Yes, season 5. Flash forward 5 years, they skipped college entirely.
That's a classic teen drama move, isn't it? A way to reset the board.
Precisely. It brings everyone back to town with new baggage. But even that couldn't prepare us for season 6 in Riverdale.
Riverdale with a V. What was that?
This is where they truly embraced the supernatural. The first 5 episodes of season 6 were a special event, an alternate timeline.
A multiverse situation.
Essentially, supernatural things were real there. La Llorona showed up. The devil literally visited the town.
And didn't something drastic happen to Archie in this timeline?
Drastic is an understatement. In the very first episode of that arc, the town sacrifices Archie.
They kill the main character.
Cheryl carves his heart out.
Stop it. You're making that up.
I am not. The episode synopsis is clear. Cheryl carves out his heart as the town rejoices. It was a fertility ritual for the maple trees.
That is incredibly dark. It's Midsommar meets Saved by the Bell.
It's pure folk horror. And because it was an alternate dimension, it allowed them to experiment. But then the supernatural stuff bled into the main timeline anyway. Jughead could read minds, and Tabitha Tate, Pop's granddaughter, is revealed to be a guardian angel with time travel powers.
Tabitha is an angel, sure. Why not?
And that leads us to the biggest swing of the entire series, Season 7, the final season.
How do you top heart carving and superpowers?
You reset the entire universe to save the town from a comet. Yes, a comet. Tabitha sends everyone back in time to 1955.
1955. So they are back in the era of the original comics.
Exactly. They are teenagers again, no memory of the future. It becomes a period piece. Archie writes poetry, Jughead writes comics. They deal with actual 1950s issues, Cold War paranoia, the Red Scare.
That is actually a really clever way to end a show based on 1950s comics. Just put them back there.
It was. It deconstructed the nostalgia. And the finale, Goodbye Riverdale, is surprisingly poignant. It features an 86-year-old Betty in the present day who wants to visit Riverdale one last time.
That sounds like the end of our town.
It's very our town, and it ends with them all in the afterlife, forever young, hanging out at Pop's.
That actually sounds kind of beautiful after all that chaos.
It brings the whole journey full circle. But we have to talk about the cultural impact, the Riverdale effect. You're talking about the cringe factor.
The memes, the clips on TikTok. The show became a punching bag.
It did. The dialogue was highly stylized. There was one line that went absolutely viral. Archie's trying to intimidate a drug runner, and he says, and I quote, "You haven't known the triumphs and defeats, the epic highs and lows of high school football."
I love it so much. It's so serious and so ridiculous.
And the cast knew it. Lily Reinhardt admitted it was difficult being the butt of the joke. Cole Sprouse had an interesting take, though.
What was that?
He said European audiences accepted the absurdity much better than Americans. He felt the U.S. audience wanted it to be grounded, while others just saw it as a farce and rolled with it.
And honestly, is it fair to call it bad?
What?
Or was it doing something on purpose?
That's the big question. Critics like Sam Bermesco defended it. He called it the finest specimen of its genre, comparing it to American Horror Story. He called it a pop culture polycule.
Meaning it's just sleeping with every genre at once.
Exactly. The argument is that it refused to take itself seriously. It was camp. And we shouldn't overlook its success. It was a massive hit on Netflix, especially internationally.
It was a content machine. And speaking of content, the musical episodes.
Oh, yes. Carrie, Heather's American Psycho, annual musicals. If
Yeah.
you're going to have cults and bears, why not have everyone sing in the hallway?
And it was part of a shared universe, right? The Archieverse.
Mm-hmm. There was Katie Keene and, crucially, Chilling Adventures of Sabrina. Kiernan Shipka appeared as Sabrina in Season 6 to help with a witch ritual.
Which honestly explains a lot. If magic exists across the river, Cheryl being a witch isn't that crazy.
Exactly. It retroactively makes the earlier weirdness feel like it fits.
So let's bring this back to the listener.
Yeah.
Is there a bigger takeaway here?
I think Riverdale represents the death of the network teen drama. In the streaming era, you get 8 or 10 episodes. Riverdale was pumping out 22 episodes a season.
An incredible amount of television.
To keep that interesting for 22 hours a year, for 7 years, they had to burn through plot at an insane rate. They couldn't just do Who Kissed Who for 7 years.
No, they had to do who carved out whose heart.
It's an artifact. We likely won't see a teen drama allowed to be this messy and experimental for this long again.
It's almost impressive they committed to the bit.
Absolutely. Whether you think it's genius or garbage, you cannot say it was boring.
So to wrap this up, Riverdale gave us drug dealers, organ harvesting cults, superpowers, and the epic highs and lows of high school football.
And to do it all while wearing impeccable 1950s costumes.
Incredible.
Here's a final thought for you to chew on. We talk a lot about camp in media, something being so bad it's good. But was Riverdale actually bad, or was it a brilliant, intentional deconstruction of television tropes? Maybe the joke wasn't on the show, maybe the joke was on us for expecting it to be normal.
That is a deep thought for a show about a boy fighting a bear.
Yeah.
I love it. If you enjoyed this deep dive, please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below. We want to hear your favorite ridiculous Riverdale moment. Thanks for listening.
Goodbye, Riverdale.